The next housing crash. This story is part of a series that asks housing experts to give their forecast for the next 5 years, how investors are impacting the market, and what state or federal intervention, if any, is needed. As more signs indicate the housing market is on a fast-paced upward trajectory, many are wondering, are we entering a housing bubble? And will the market crash or at least deflate at any point in the near future? Forbes Advisor asked nearly a dozen housing experts what their forecast is for the housing market in the next 5 years. While most experts expect homebuyer demand to continue, there are some warning signs that home prices could falter amid rising inflation and geopolitical uncertainty. Are we headed into a housing bubble? The Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas identified signs of a brewing U.S. housing bubble in a blog post March 29. What causes the housing market to be unhinged from those fundamentals is when there is widespread belief that today's robust price increases will continue, the Dallas Fed report said. If many buyers share this belief, purchases arising from a fear of missing out can drive up prices and heighten expectations of strong house price gains. Why the housing market will likely stay hot. If you were hoping for a major downturn to snag a cheaper home, think again. Most housing experts are predicting the market to remain strong for a while for several reasons. One, millennial demand for housing is up, with Gen Z right behind. The number of potential homebuyers is plentiful, with Americans who are either millennial-aged or younger making up half of the U.S. population, or 166 million as of July 2019. This is significant because first-time homebuyers represent the largest share, 31%, of people purchasing homes, according to data from the National Association of Realtors, NAR. And most first-time buyers are younger than 40, which means the buyer pool is deep, a good indication that demand will remain strong, especially since housing inventory is at historical lows. 2. Supply can't keep up with demand. The severely low supply is also helping fuel demand and higher home prices, which is another reason why housing experts say the market will remain strong for years to come. The supply-demand imbalance is the primary reason home prices have escalated so rapidly, says Rick Sharga, Executive Vice President at RealtyTrack. And after not building nearly enough houses for the last decade, home builders will take several years at least to add enough new supply to balance the market. In a balanced market, the months of supply would be around 6 months the time it would take to deplete all homes for sale at the current sales pace. But today's market has only 1.7 months of supply, showing a drastic imbalance in favor of sellers. 3. Borrowers are less likely to default on their mortgages. Among the differences between today's housing market and that of the 2008 housing crash is that lending standards are tighter due to lessons learned and new regulations enacted after the last crisis. Essentially, that means those approved for a mortgage nowadays are less likely to default than those who were approved in the pre-crisis lending period. It's rare today to come across a lender offering so-called no-doc loans where the applicant did not have to provide documentation of income, a common practice before the housing crash. Also, many loans backed by the government have a certain set of standards, like minimum credit score and down payment requirements. And regulators now expect lenders to verify a borrower's ability to repay the loan, among other standards. 4. Warning signs that could dampen the housing market. In response to the inflation hike, the Federal Reserve raised its federal funds rate in March, the first Fed rate hike in 3 years, a sign there could be a slowdown. While the federal funds rate does not directly impact long-term mortgage rates, it does have an effect on short-term rates like credit cards and adjustable rate mortgages, ARMs. Higher interest rates could trigger a slowdown in consumer spending.